Welcome back, everybody. I'm Adam Lowe, and if you listened before, you know I can talk about the towpath all day.
And I'm Chris Earl. If it's an ultra, a backyard, or some ridiculous running challenge, I'm probably signing up for it.
And I'm Katie Lowe. I love all things running, but my specialties are run streaking and the beer mile.
Together, we're here to share the stories that make running such an incredible community.
From local legends to elite athletes, race directors, and everyday runners, we'll cover the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
So whether you're out for a run, driving to your next race, or just hanging out, thanks for joining us.
This is Tales on the Towpath. Let's get started. All right, we are back for another episode. Chris is coming to us from North Carolina today, and Katie and I just started school yesterday. So it's been a really exciting week so far. Chris is on vacation and I'm at work, so it's kind of like an oxymoron, right? Like normally Chris is on at work and I'm on vacation, but we are here with our good buddy Samir again, who is on episode 39. So if you missed episode 39, I encourage you to go back and listen to that episode first and then come back to this episode. We are going to talk about his Backyard Ultra that took place on August 1st. So, Samir, thank you for coming back with us today. We're excited to talk about your race from about 3 weeks ago.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, this should be pretty good. I can't wait to dive into racing in Honduras and then also like the mental side and the physical side of the backyard. So I don't want to give it away too much, but why don't we want to start with how the race ended or do we want to save that, Chris?
I was going to say we have to. I mean, there's probably like 5 or 6 people out there that don't follow Samir on Instagram
All
and
right.
haven't seen all the posts, but we should let them know like exactly how he did.
All right. So if you, again, go back and listen to episode 39 if you have not listened, but Samir went to Honduras to race a backyard ultra, the first backyard ultra in his home country of Honduras. So Samir, quickly tell us how your race ended.
Well, it ended with a 32-minute loop, sub 33-minute loop. The assist was a guy from Guatemala who set the Guatemalan record, so I was pretty happy to help with that as well. Help others to push their bar a little bit higher. And that's how it ended. Not luckily, but fortunately enough, I took the W.
All right. So you were the one that ran the 32-minute yard at the end, huh?
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on the victory. We're going to dive into that today. So, first, we want to get a sense of your home country, Honduras. So, what was the atmosphere like in Honduras and then going there to run the Backyard Ultra?
Well, I landed like kind of at midnight. Then after that was like an hour drive to the house where I was raised. You forget a few things like there's no AC over there. The temperature that is outside is the same one that is inside. It was about 85 degrees. We had a fan. That's all we had. Not most houses don't have AC, at least in my neighborhood, but that was not a big deal. Like you remember everything. You remember where you're from, and that was not an issue. I slept maybe 3 hours. And I woke up and I just went and woke up my buddy Eli. Let's go for a streak saver. I took him around the neighborhood just to run a loop. He got chased by stray dogs for the first time. And then I had to teach him the invisible rock technique that you make as if you're grabbing a rock from the ground and throwing it at him and they leave you alone. But then after that, we went grocery shopping for the race. My grandma she was a little bit confused because she was like, "What is all this candy for? What are all the snacks for?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Like, I think we know what we're doing over here." So we made it to Comayagua. It's like an hour and 20-minute drive. Beautiful drive, very scenic, a lot of mountains. Like I forgot how big the mountains are in my country. I think that they're bigger than the ones that we have around here, and there's not many trails through it, I don't believe. So once we got to Comayagua, we had lunch and then we had to packet pickup. Once we made it to packet pickup, I think that they already knew that I was traveling because I was tagging them so much on my posts on Instagram. And they gave us our beep. We took pictures, and we had like a good conversation with the race directors. And right there is where I started settling down. Like, okay, this is gonna be a well put together event. These guys look like they know what they're doing, even though they have not done it before. They just show me how much they care about the event on at Packet Pickup. Cause yeah, I had a race with among other Hondurans over here, but I was when I started the race the following day, I knew that these are like the runner Honduras. So I knew that these were like the runners Hondurans that I was gonna run with. Not the occasionally person who runs a 5K to stay healthy or a regular jogger. There were a lot of guys that have run many different ultras, even the Sables marathons in the desert of Sahara. And we had people from Guatemala. I didn't know then that we had people from Guatemala, and they're really good runners on the half marathon. They're pretty fast. They live at higher altitude, so every time they come to compete to Honduras, they give us a run for money, and most of the time they take the W on the 21K, how they say it over there.
Well, Chris, before you jump in, I wanted to say that Samir, one thing that I would never forget about where I came from would be if there was no AC and I was going there in the middle of the summertime. So you got me beat there, but I could not do that. That would be tough for me to sleep at all.
And I'm wondering about the invisible rock trick. Like, I never heard of that before. Does that work on dogs in the United States too? Or
It
is this a
doesn't
special type of dog?
it
Seriously.
doesn't work because
Ah.
unfortunately there's a lot of stray dogs in Honduras, and most of them are not very well behaved dogs. So oftentimes you find yourself throwing rocks at them too, because if otherwise you get bit, you know.
Right.
So if some like first you try the fake rock. If they don't leave you alone, then there's plenty of rocks in the road that you can just grab one and throw it at them, and they'll leave you alone.
But the Americanized dogs, they don't usually get their rocks thrown at them because the owners then will
I
yell
don't
at
even
you.
try it over here. I don't try it over here
well,
because I don't want to go to jail.
This
yeah,
episode
yeah.
sponsored by the SPCA.
Well, I don't have much bad luck with dogs, but Adam does from time to time. So really, this was a line of questioning to help him out.
Yeah. So, Samir, it sounds like your travel down to Honduras went pretty smooth. You didn't have a bunch of flight delays. You didn't have to rent a private plane. You didn't, land 1 hour before like Mark Dowdle did this last weekend. So glad to hear that. But tell us a little bit about when you got to the race and started. How did the other runners, did they take you in, or did they kind of look at you at like, who's this guy coming in that we've never seen before? What was that like?
Well, a lot of people knew about my PR, that I'm currently the Honduran record holder on the backyard. So some people will like ask questions like, "Hey, how many are you doing? How many yards are you planning for?" And my answer was, I'm doing this one right now, or I don't know, but right now I'm doing this yard, and then we'll go from there. There was then the more people that was finding out about how far I've gone in this before, they'll start referring to me as like the guy who runs a little bit long, you know. Like they're starting seeing me as competition, that I was there to compete, not to try the format, because there were probably about 160 people that went there just to try the format, and we're not that set on trying to win. A bunch of people dropped at 6 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours. So those are just like milestones that we see on the backyard, that people just want to run this many yards to run an ultra for the first time. 12 hours for the 50 miles, like 15 or 16 for the 100K. So not different than what we often see over here, but people were pretty friendly. I made like maybe not a lot of friends, but there were a few guys that I really had a lot of conversations with, and we were on the same page. There was one guy that I was texting on Instagram while I was still over here, just to ask him like, "Hey, how's the atmosphere? What is it looking like?" And he introduced me to another guy and he said something like, "You guys are gonna be good friends," and we ended up running maybe from yards 17 to 26 together, and then he dropped out, and then it was just me and Mauricio from Guatemala.
All right, Samir, was there a moment involving the local runners, the volunteers, or the crowd that sticks with you more than other parts of your experience?
Well, I don't know if it's a local runner or not, because for me, I'm a local Washington County runner, right? At some point, I felt like I was a foreigner in Honduras. Like, I have not lived there in 10 years or more than that. But there's this guy, his name is Austin Sau. He's from he's from Arlington, Virginia. And like about maybe 15 years ago, somewhere around there, he moved to Honduras because he fell in love and found Christ. He's a very Christian guy. And we started talking on yard number 10. Mind you, yard number 10 is where I had like a really dark moment. I had like 5 bad hours, but I'm going to answer your question right now. We were just talking, and he was talking about how beautiful my country is and how he is so attached to it and how he found all these wonderful things. And I came to realize like he's living a similar life than me in my country, but I'm living it in his country. Like he found running over there. He ran his first ultra in Honduras, and I started my running over here. Normally, I put a video on my Instagram saying something like, "Hey, normally I'm the only brown guy in the starting line, but today is Austin's turn," and he was the only American guy in the whole race. But it didn't feel like it. Like he speaks Spanish pretty good. He could communicate with everybody, and at the end of the day, we all were there to suffer. Austin was there to suffer. Everybody, so it don't matter. It it made me realize that running is just universal. No matter whether you speak or not the language. There was sometimes that a whole group was running in silence, but you just felt like they were there with you without saying a word.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting how, that is like you said, everybody's there to suffer, to do one job. We just saw, if you paid attention to the last soul race, and there's a ton of different people from different countries running, and like they're running together. They probably don't understand half of what each other's saying, but like they know they're all going through the same type of deal. Samir, what was your strategy going in? I know through the last episode and so far this one, and just talking to you, you kind of focus on the yard that you're in. But what about like pacing? Did you have a pace goal per yard, or was that kind of just a feel thing as well?
Well, just as always, the first yard I ran it. The first yard is always gonna feel very easy, and I think I ran like a 49, 48 minute yard. And I told Eli, "Hey, we need to back it up. Like if this feels easy right now, but if we can make it feel easier, that'll be better for the long run." So then we started averaging like 52s, 53s. That worked out pretty well. The day before the race, I did drove the course. I didn't run it, but I drove through it, and compared to the course that we have run over here, it was pretty flat. I think that I didn't have any more than 3,000 feet of elevation in the whole race, I believe. Maybe I had like 4,000, but it was significant. It wasn't a lot. So then I just started running like 51 to 53 minutes. I was not worried if I was taking a little bit longer. The first 4 yards, they were like pretty quiet. I didn't talk to many people. Then I started talking to the other runners once I had my strategy laid out, and I will tell them like, "Hey, I'll walk over here, but if you want to keep running, keep running." Or sometimes you find people just running your same strategy or similar strategy. You pass them because they're walking, and then you start walking and they pass you. So that was my only strategy. I think that I keep making the same mistake of trying to do too many tasks between a yard, because I had my strategy to keep my feet clean because I knew it was gonna be a dirt road. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run this yard a little bit faster because it's lunchtime. My crew had a burger for me. I wanna change my socks. I wanna clean my feet with a wet towel, and I wanna put lube in it and change my shoes, right? So it doesn't sound like a lot of things to do, but maybe my shoe change and sock change could have waited another yard. Maybe I could just ate on that one and still run like a 53 minutes. Just small things like that where I feel like I want to knock out all these tasks that I end up maybe exerting myself a little bit too much. So small mistakes like this that I feel that I'm exerting myself a little bit too much. So I just need to spread my tasks a little bit more and stick to my plan because I ran like a 48-minute yard on that one, but it was my yard number 6. Race started at 7. So that would be what, like 1 or 2 p.m. when I ran that yard. It's peak heat, and I might not even realize it. I did it just because it was part of my plan. And maybe that caused issues later on the race where maybe I overheated myself on that yard, and it took me a while to bring my body back to temperature. So yeah, I think that the strategy was just pretty similar as always. I just need to work on spreading my task a little bit smarter.
Hey, do you run with your phone, and are you like texting your crew? When I get back, I want to do A, B, C, D, and E, or are you remembering all this stuff? Because you just listed like 6 things that you were going to do in between yards. And when we did Capital, I couldn't remember if I said I was going to eat or not. And like, I have a hard time remembering those tasks.
Oh, my crew, they have never been around this environment, and I think that they nailed the crewing aspect of it. I was surprised because I told them like, I want to eat every 6 hours. I want to eat something solid, like something like real food, not cookies, not this. I want to have something is gonna make me that's gonna make me feel like I'm eating a dinner, like I'm eating a lunch, like I'm eating a breakfast. And they had it ready for me. He was like, my crew remind me like, hey, it's lunchtime. I'll be right back. I'll go get you a burger for the next yard. And I'm like, oh, sweet. And they remind me of my shoe change. And so that was, they even remind me of my shoe change the second time where I was coming back with like 1 minute. And I'm like, I don't have time for it. I was like, I don't have time for it. So I had my phone. I was texting them exactly what I wanted. For example, my tailwind at the beginning, it was like room temperature because the water sponsor didn't get there till like 7:01 once we already started the yard. So we had to wait a little bit for that water to get cold. And then I texted him like, hey, make sure you put ice in my tailwind because I need something cold to drink. Or whatever I needed, I'll text them in between yards. I text Chris in the race.
He did. He did it. He did it early on, and then I even got a text message that I think was at like 2 a.m. my time, which I did not see until morning, but I did appreciate it. So, Samir, you touched on this a little bit. You were coming back. It sounds like with anywhere from 6 to 8 minutes on most loops. What did you do for recovery in that time? Did you try to get any sleep? Did you sit down, get your feet up? I mean, you talked about refueling, but what about the rest of recovery?
Well, you learn quickly just by seeing other people running Backyard Ultras that you do not need to stand when you come back. I'll just go straight to my corral, I mean to my tent. But it was, and just giving props to my crew again, as soon as I walk through the corral, somebody will be taking my ice bandana off, somebody will taking my soft flask off. I'll be sitting down, they'll be handing me food and snacks for me to eat. And I was just trying to be off my feet as much as possible. And then you kind of remember things that you used to do at the beginning or when you first start running Backyard Ultra, that you hear the whistle of the 3 minutes. Wait, they didn't have a whistle. They'll tell you you have 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and 1 minute. You hear the 3 minutes, and for you, at least for me, it was like that means nothing. That only means that I can still sit down. You have 2 minutes, still don't mean anything. And they'll let you know when you had like 30 seconds. So once they said you had like 30 seconds or a minute, then I'll start walking to the corral and then continue the yard. But I try to get as much time off my feet as I could between yards.
So, Samir, you mentioned earlier that there were 170 runners that started this Backyard Ultra with you, and that sounds like a really big field. But as the numbers started dwindling down and there were 10 or less runners left, did your mindset change or strategy for each loop? Did you have to adjust or feel like you were adjusting those as the field got to those smaller numbers?
Well, I didn't realize when the field got smaller because I went through 5 hours of hell. When that was happening, on my yard number 10, I puked for the first time ever in a race. It has never happened to me. I was doing everything possible to not vomit, but I couldn't help it. And I couldn't keep anything down. I couldn't drink. I couldn't eat anything. So I got back to camp, and I think I came back the first time with like 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes turned into 3. And then I texted Chris like, "Hey, my stomach is jacked up." And Chris said something like, "All you need is 58 to 59 minutes." And then I put my headphones on and put the episode 39 and just fast forward all the way to where I was talking about Scott, like how he is an elite ultra runner and he goes through it. And I just listened to that for a little bit between yard 14, and I was just going back and forth in the episode, trying to find like the right words to listen to at that moment, you know, looking for answers pretty much. But then I puked again on yard number 12, yard number 13. I didn't vomit. Yard number 13, I text my crew. I need ice water, like ice cold water. And we have water in bags, in plastic bags. You can Google them. So you can see them if you never see them in the States. So I grabbed one of those plastic bags of water, uh, opened a hole in one corner with my teeth, and just shocked it real quick. And that was on jar 14. Jar 15, I was able to eat a gel, but when I try to when I try to drink Tailwind, it made me gag. But then I was able to drink a little bit of water. When I came back from yard 15, I came back at with 59 minutes and 15 seconds. I was literally sprinting to make it to past the corral. My crew was asking me, "What do I need?" I said, "Give me 2 soft flasks of Tailwind." No, I said first, "Give me another ice cold water, 2 soft flasks of Tailwind, and give me a gel. I'll try to eat this on this yard." So I chugged another water. And Austin, I gotta talk about him again. Austin, he's listened to the podcast. He's been watching the videos I was putting on Instagram about my training. There were a few guys who, maybe like 4 or 5 guys, who talked about all the posting I was doing and how they appreciated the information and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, 5 guys is enough for me to keep doing it, you know. But going back to the race, Austin already DNF'd on that loop, and he pretty much grabbed my attention and he started like almost screaming like, "Hey, remember that you came here with a purpose, and even though your family's not here, your wife and kids are over here." And then I got lit up. I shocked a tailwind and then I ate my gel. When I look at the package of a gel, it was like a Guru Octane, and those are supposed to be like pretty good. I ran the next loop in like 49 minutes, the loop number 16 or 17. And in my mind, my mind was like in a whole different space. I was walking past the corral and I was like, okay, I'm back in the game. I had my soft flask, ate something. I think I ate ramen noodle soup and took like a 3-minute nap. And I woke up feeling better than the first loop.
I think I know the answer to this question, but you mentioned throwing up from yards like 14 to 18, somewhere around there. And I think what our listeners need to realize is that's like 5 hours of like puking, like running
Yeah.
and puking. Like it doesn't sound that bad when you say, like, oh, I didn't feel good yard 14 to 18. But when you put it in perspective of like just think about how long 5 hours is, and you're going to run 20 miles within those hours, and you're puking a couple times, and you can't keep water or tailwind or food down. So was there any moment that like you actually considered quitting, or was it all problem solving and trying to figure it out?
Well, I kind of went over there with the promise of not dying in the chair, or like, I think that I did that once at the Capitol. And the second time I did more miles, I was saving my legs for this race. So there's this phrase of Lazarus Lake, that he says that some people become professionals at trading today for tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and you trade it again. And I don't want to become one of those people. And I had high expectations about my performance. I talked to my crew about what my intentions were behind going and doing this race, and what I wanted to do, and what it takes to achieve. I'll call my Every time I talk to my crew, I'm like, "Hey, dude, I'm training really, really hard before the race, even before I even made it to Honduras. So be ready, because I feel I can be pretty competitive." And there's this other guy. His name is Jorge. He he was like, "Okay, Samir, I'm doing whatever you're doing," and I was like, "Okay, we run. Okay, we walk." And when I was digging deep, I was like, "Bro, do your thing. Like I'm not reliable right now. Like I'm working really hard right now." Then there was another fellow runner who listened to the podcast, and he said something like, "Hey man, I heard the podcast," and that was yard 15 too, the yard where I came with like 59 minutes and some seconds. And he said, "Hey, I heard to the podcast, and I thought that you were ready to go a couple of days." And when somebody says something like that to you, and you're hurting and you feel weak, and every step you take your stomach hurts, I just look at him and say, I'm like, "Bro, I'm fighting right now. Like, I'm not quitting. I'm just fighting. I'm going through it really bad." There was not like quitting was not an option this time. Did I felt like my race could have ended early? For 5 hours, I thought that it was gonna be my last yard. I never had stomach issues. That has always been my strength.
So, Samir, when you were going through the struggles and as you got deeper into the race, I'm sure like the mental fatigue started to set in. And was there ever a point where you started looking around, looking left, looking right, and thinking, man, that guy is just tough. Like he's the one I've got to worry about. Or were there a group of runners that you were like, man, they might actually be stronger than me? Did you have that moment during the race?
I think that everybody has a shot at a Backyard Ultra, but however, the guys from Guatemala, they had experience before. So there's this guy from Guatemala that he was the assist to the previous record, and I knew that he was coming for the record if he had the opportunity. They were running in a group. There were four runners from Guatemala, and they ran together most of the yards until each one of them just started dropping. So they were I wasn't too concerned, but I was keeping my eye on them. Like, okay, they had good strategy from the beginning. They didn't run any faster loop. They didn't slow down. So yeah, then there were other strong runners that started running too fast, and they ran too fast for a long time. That my thought was, yeah, that it's gonna catch up to them. Like they're really good runners, and me personally, I wish I could just approach him and be like, "Hey, dude, pace yourself a little bit. You can get really far." But at the same time, I don't want to bother anybody, or have people see me like a know-it-all type of guy just because I have run a few of these and they have run, and it's their first one. So I just let them do their thing, and sure enough, as the race went by, I didn't speed up, I didn't slow down, but I ended up running a few yards close to them. Like you start reeling in the people that goes really fast at the beginning, and then you guys run together, and then they DNF.
So, Samir, you've mentioned that this is like you saved yourself during other races for this. You really came into this race wanting to win. Were you thinking about that the whole race, and especially when you got towards the end with less runners, or did you simply focus on one yard at a time, just get through the next yard?
Well, at the well, I travel really far to I travel really far to do this race, and I think I spent some money too just to go and test myself in that course. I felt pressure like I needed to win at the beginning, but as soon as we start running and you start talking to other people, that kind of mentality fades away. And right after I had my dark moment, I stopped thinking about winning. I started thinking about how I can about how amazing it was to get out of that hole, about how I was feeling a couple hours ago, and now I'm feeling better than I ever did in the past hour. It was also good for the other runners to see how I did that, because now they know they can do that too. So now I think that, yeah, I do still want to win. I still want to go far. I will love to be the last one standing every time I have the opportunity. But if you ask me, if you tell me, Samir, you're gonna run this backyard and you're gonna run 40 loops and you're gonna win, or you can go run this backyard, you're gonna run 60, but you're gonna lose. I'll go and run the 60.
Yeah, that's the thing with the backyard is like you never know how long it's gonna go. So it's but when you're in it and it's you versus the guy from Guatemala who set the record there, take us through that last yard. So did he finish a yard and you both set out together, or did he drop once he completed a yard and you had to go out all by yourself?
Well, it was a very emotional moment for them because it's a huge achievement, like you're the new record holder of your country in the backyard. So on that last backyard, I mean, on the last yard, that yard number 32, I was always running a little bit far ahead, maybe like 2 minutes in front of him. And then I'll come at 52 and he'll come at 55. But on that yard, I look over my shoulder and he's running with me. I look at my watch and I'm like, I'm not running any slower. I'm running the same pace. And then I started talking to him like, "Hey, how you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I want to eat something real quick." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then he started walking, and then I don't see him at 53 minutes, 54 minutes. And then he comes walking down the hill with like 55, 56 minutes, and he starts crying. I think he got pretty emotional. His crew got pretty emotional too. He got on his knee and looked up to the sky. They're pretty religious people, so it was nice to watch. Like they're like pretty old school religious people from Central America. And it was a very emotional moment. It was kind of cool to watch him hug with his crew. I think his mom was there all night. She did not sleep at all. She was taking care of him. So on my last yard, I just looked at him. Somebody told me like, "Hey, he's not gonna go out again." And I'm like, I don't believe it, because he came with plenty of time. And next time I'll tell people, don't tell me if the other runner wants to go out again or not, because it might play on your mind. So in my mind, I was like, no, he's coming out again. He's coming out again. Then when we only had like 10 seconds to go, I look over his spot and his shoes were off, his socks were off. And I kind of asked him like, "Hey, aren't you coming?" And he said, "No." So after they said go, I crossed the finish line, still looking over my shoulder to make sure there was nobody else coming. And I just started running fast. I don't know. I kind of wanted to empty the tank, so I just wanted to get that. I just wanted to finish the race tired, like very, very, very tired right after. And yeah, you're always going to, you know, you're always going to. That was nothing that I had to pursue. Like I was already gonna finish tired, whether I ran that in like 32 or 59. But it felt pretty good. When I came back, everybody was super excited. I crossed the finish line, turned around, hugged my grandma, and then everybody from my crew and just tell them, like how much I appreciate what they did for me. And then I just started taking pictures with everybody who hung around. Like people who finished the race the day before came back to keep watching it. And some friends from high school were friends in common with some of the volunteers, and they sent him messages on Instagram like, "Hey, tell Samir that he needs to lock in, that the win has to stay in Honduras." Because then it was like, no, it's not like a Honduras and Guatemala stuff right now. It's just like me and the other runner.
So Samir, when you finished, you and Mauricio had been battling for 33 hours. Did you guys share a moment when you came back in and finished?
Well, right after I hugged my family, then I started looking for him. We started looking for him. We took a picture. Then we just pretty much complimented each other. Like, hey, like he's a super strong runner. You should see the size of his calves. I'm like, this guy he can run forever. Like you can tell he lives in a mountain, just by, at least in our countries, you can tell when somebody lives in the mountain just by looking at their calves. So I know that is tip where he lives. And then he asked me. He told me that if I was ever interested on going to run their backyard in Guatemala, I was welcome to go and run over there. And I just told him like, hey, I hope to see you next year.
All right, so you outlasted everybody and you got the win, and obviously that was pretty emotional for you going over there. And not to like rush you or anything, but everybody always asks what's next, right? So you just have this huge accomplishment. You come back to the States, come back home, and then less than 13 days later you go out there and set a PR at Crumpy's 5K. How is that getting the legs moving again?
Oh man, I made a mistake the day before the race. Me and Ryan we're playing pickup soccer at Amani Brewery. So some muscles that I haven't used in a while were hurting that day, but yeah, I wasn't feeling great, but once the gun went off, I was running with a few people that I ran with before, and I don't know, man. My 5K strategy is pretty simple. We go hard. You know, pace. Don't ask me what pace am I gonna run. Don't ask me my strategy. I'm not. I don't think I have the. I don't think I'm smart enough to negative split a 5K. I'm always gonna run. I might PR on the first mile. Matter of fact.
I, you
That's what
you
I do.
Yeah, that's what Katie does. No matter what her strategy beforehand is, she's gonna PR the first mile and then hold on for dear life. So, but I
Full
think
step.
it's the only way to run Crumpies because you're going downhill and it's exciting there at the beginning. So, Samir, before we let you go, we want to keep you on the hook here for what is next within the next couple months. What's next for the rest of 2026 for you?
Well, I have never raced a half marathon. I have ran the distance plenty of time, but I don't know how to push in a half marathon and how much to hold back. So I'm gonna run the half lock to lock. Uh, After posting all my training for Comayagua, I'm not scared to say what my goals are. So I'll aim for a 118, whether it happens or not. Most of the audience are runners and they understand how this works. Sometimes you have good days and bad days. Then after that, we're going to run final countdown. I would love to run 45 miles if you ask me, and I'm absolutely gonna try. Whether that's gonna happen or not, it's on the air. Then for Fire on the Mountain, I don't think I'm gonna defend my title. I think that I'll race the 25K, but before that, there's Boss Sawyer. And this year, I didn't wanted to run a marathon to try to get into Boston, but Boss Sawyer is that will get me for 2028, right? If I run a time. So I ran a 2:51:08, which meets with the standard, but if a lot of people is running very fast, that means nothing. So I'll try to shoot for a 2:48, 2:49, the full marathon. Maybe who knows, like I might be able to. I feel pretty strong coming back from this race, and I kind of know the type of work that is required to run a fast marathon. I know it's a little bit of torture, but Adam can tell us better about that right now. And to close the year, then we got the Christmas of the runners in the Washington County area. We got JFK, and that was my first race. So I went from a 9:32 to a 7:10 and this year I'm gonna aim for a 6:45, 6:50, and that's the oh man, I want to say that's the A race, but all the goals I'm setting myself for sound all of them sound like A race.
Well, I think you're setting yourself up for like a lot of race experience leading up to that JFK. It also sounds like you're one hell of a Tulo spokesperson with all those races on your calendar. So we appreciate that, Samir. That's for sure.
Now I know it's gonna be good.
Samir, we really appreciate your time. It's been fascinating to talk back through how the race went for you. Like, Adam and I have obviously heard a lot of these stories, but there certainly were some new tidbits that I took away from tonight, and I'm sure our listeners will really appreciate it, especially after, you shared your goals in episode 39 and we're willing to come back and talk about how it went. So congratulations, and we look forward to seeing what has in store for you the rest of 2026.
Oh, thank you, Chris.
Hey, Samir, now that you are famous and you've been on 2 of our podcasts, I'm pretty sure Chris shared it before and I know he'll share it again, but tell everybody your Instagram handle and where they can follow you on Instagram now that you are posting a lot more and some really good content as well.
You can find me on Instagram as Baca Ponce. You put it on the notes. It's BACAPONCEE. And I started posting stuff on YouTube, but it's mostly in Spanish. But you can put the subtitles in YouTube if you're interested. I don't know. It's fun. Like it's hard. It's a lot of work. I don't know. I text Follow like, hey, dude, how do you do it? Like it's like a part-time job.
Yeah, Katie knows that. We were just talking about that before the podcast, how much work it is for her on social media and Chris.
And I figure out, sorry, Adam, I figure out that you can schedule a post to post the next day. So I'm like, okay, I got 2 posts today, but if I post both of them today, what am I gonna do tomorrow? And then I didn't want it to not make it, like not make the post at that moment. But when I saw that you can schedule it, I was like, oh, okay, this is a hack.
Don't tell everybody your secrets. They might figure it out.
I don't know, man. There's room for everybody.
Adam finds out things like all the time, like as much as he runs, I mean, I'm not even talking social media. As much as he runs, he didn't know you could program in workouts in his watch, his very expensive Koros watch that he loves. I was like, just put in that you have to do 400s into your watch and you don't have to look at it.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about doing
That
more.
was
Like,
after
you did it.
that was
It's like,
Samir.
this is amazing.
That
No,
was
that's
Samir's
that's
fault. Because
no, that's a little crazy.
when we
I was Go ahead, Adam.
when we ran the workout like in May or the early June, and we had to do 16 of something, and we both looked at each
16
other at the
400s.
end. Right. And we were like, was that 15, 16, or 17? And then we ended up doing another one because we lost count. I think we did the right amount, but so after that,
Yeah,
I
which-
For
learned,
me,
yeah.
Yeah,
for
but
me,
that's
I just
similar.
thought that
Go ahead.
for me, I just thought that Adam was pretty retro, like pretty old school. Like, hey, I'm running with one of the old school dirtbags right now that don't use the features of his watch. Might as well just bring the one that you use with your hand. What is it called?
A stopwatch.
Yeah, stopwatch.
Did he have his black and white composition notebook with him so he could write down his splits after each lap?
Hey, you're making fun of me, but I still keep that thing. I got like 6 of those filled with runs. Look at Katie. I'm about to go.
Yes,
I'm
he
about to go update it right now. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Samir. We appreciate you coming on and talking to us again. If you made it this far and you have not heard episode 39 for the 4th time, go back and check that one out, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks, Samir.
Thank you.
That's all for today's episode of Tales on the Towpath. Thanks for joining us on another run down memory lane and along the C&O. If you've enjoyed the show, be sure to follow, share it with a friend, and leave us a review. Until next time, keep your pace steady and your stories flowing.